This is the Training Beta Podcast, and I'm your host, Neely Quinn. Thanks for joining me for another episode all about rock climbing. And today we're going to be focusing on aging as climbers and also living on the road full-time as climbers. My guests are Chuck Odette and his partner Maggie Odette. Chuck is 70 years old. He's been climbing for 47 years. He's done 514 at age 64. And he's currently projecting 513 with bone-on-bone osteoarthritis in his hip and one shoulder already replaced. Maggie is 56. She's climbed multiple 514s even in her 50s, and she is a year out from her own shoulder surgery, and she's currently projecting a 514 in Maple Canyon. Together, they've been living and climbing full-time out of a 16-foot trailer or smaller for 11 years, having retired at 59 and 45. So in this interview, we covered a lot of things: the road life, their surgeries, training outdoors full-time pretty much. But what stuck with me most was actually Chuck's take on nutrition. He's never bought into the starve yourself to be light mentality like a lot of climbers do, and he has a lot to say about what happened to the climbers he grew up with who did. He also made a single dietary change in his early 40s that took him from 513 minus to 514 in about 6 months. So he did his first 514 at 43 years old, the same year he became a grandfather, which I think is very notable, especially if you've ever wondered how much longer you have in climbing or whether your best climbing might still be ahead of you. So I hope that you enjoy this interview as much as I did. And without further ado, here are Chuck and Maggie Odette. Enjoy. All right, welcome to the show, Maggie and Chuck. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Hi.
Hi, happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you both have been on a lot of podcasts. People really want to hear from you. And so I'm honored to have you on
Yeah.
my show. But for anybody who doesn't know who you are, can you just both briefly introduce yourselves?
Okay, my name is Chuck Odette, and I am a 70-year-old rock climber. I've been climbing for approximately 47 years,
Nice.
and I am now retired and living on the road full time. This is the 11th year of road tripping.
Dang. So you started living on the road and being retired when you were 59.
That's correct, yeah.
And I'm going to ask you, well, maybe I should just ask you right now, what did you do for a living when you were working?
Um, Most of my life I was a land surveyor. My last 12 plus years of working life, I worked for Petzl in their marketing department. I was the athlete coordinator and event manager for Petzl.
Mm-hmm. And so did that mean that you were kind of typical 9 to 5er and also climbing? Or what did that mean for you?
It meant as a surveyor, I was probably working sometimes 50, 60 hours a week in the summer. Um, and then for Petzl, as the event coordinator, I was often traveling a lot and working. It varied, probably average of 45, 50 hours a week.
Dang.
You know.
Okay. Okay. Great. And Maggie, what about you? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. I have been climbing a little bit shorter amount of time than I call him Charlie. So Charlie Chuck has been. I've been climbing since 1998. So if I do that math, that's, oh gosh, I'm really bad at math. 28 years.
Okay.
I am 56. We're 14 years apart. So when we retired, lucky for me, I was only 45.
Nice.
And although most of my life I had a regular person job in, it's kind of weird, but the decorative plumbing industry for the last probably For the last decade of working, I worked in the outdoor industry. I worked for a climbing gym in Ogden, Utah, the Front Climbing Club in Ogden, and I ran the yoga studio there, and the yoga teacher training program inside the gym.
Nice. Cool. So I think that one of the most interesting things about you two is that you did decide to just leave normal life behind and retire and move into, what do you live in currently?
A 16.5-foot trailer that we tow with a
Right.
cargo van.
And I think you started in something smaller,
Yeah,
right?
13-foot scamp.
Nice.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
the inside of is actually 10 feet. Like, trailers are generally 3 feet longer than the actual dimensions given, so,
Okay.
yeah,
I did not know that.
smaller than a lot of Sprinter vans.
Yeah. And because it's particularly interesting to me because I tried living in a van with my husband and we lasted for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're either gonna get an apartment or we're gonna get a divorce. And so it's always really impressive to me when people can do that. Can you tell me, Chuck, what you think makes it work between you two living like that?
Um, I think it's the understanding that we are both independent people to begin with. In other words, I'm quite confident that Maggie could exist solely on her own and be happy and healthy. And conversely, I the same, happy and healthy on my own. Therefore, together, um, we're pretty much equal um, solitudes, I guess.
Mhm.
To make it so we can be comfortable around each other, recognizing each other's personal space and wants and needs and so on. So
Yeah, I mean, personal space is definitely an issue in such small quarters. So how do you guys manage that?
me,
Either one of you?
Oh, I think we've talked about this before. I think we tend to not necessarily view personal space as purely physical. So, yeah, we share this very small physical space, but we have a lot of mental, personal space. We don't always have to be doing the same things at the same time. We can be focused on entirely different things in the same space. And we're just not in each other's way. Neither of us is impeding the other's ability to do what we want to do in that moment. And also, we have like the entire outdoors, you know,
Right.
like if it's raining, that's one thing, but otherwise, we can be a mile away from each other if we really
Right, right,
feel the
yeah.
need, but that's not really, it's not something that we encounter. I think a lot of it comes from the fact that we didn't meet until we were a bit older. Yeah, I was like
Mm,
basically what 40 when I moved into your I turned 40 right after we moved in together and he was already what would that make you?
mid 50s.
54.
54. Yeah. So we lived entire lifetimes separately before committing to these circumstances.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that some people have issues saying like, "Hey, I need some alone time. I'm gonna go for a walk or whatever." And it doesn't seem like you two have that issue.
No.
Yeah, that's cool.
No.
And out of curiosity, do either of you have children?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 3 children. Um,
Sounds funny to call them that at this point.
yeah,
Right.
But they are. I mean,
yeah.
Friends.
they're his children.
I mean, my
Yeah.
my oldest daughter's in her 40s, and my youngest
Mm,
daughter is mid 30s, and then I have a son that just recently turned 40. So yeah, kids, grandkids, 4 granddaughters, and
nice.
one great grandson.
Wow.
Yeah,
What? That's crazy.
yeah, it's crazy.
Y
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what do they think about your lifestyle?
Um, I think I'm more closely connected to my youngest daughter. I see her frequently, and my 2 granddaughters with her. So and they're all super excited about what I'm doing and the lifestyle I lead, and it kind of inspires them to be, be well, not so much athletic, but
Active.
active and um, self-sufficient.
Mhm.
Yeah. His granddaughters brag about him at school.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're like, if grandpa can do it, I can definitely do
Yeah.
this. Yeah. And I promise we'll talk about climbing and injuries and all the things that I really want to climb or talk about. But I am also curious about, and you can tell me to not ask this and not answer, but like financially, a lot of people would never dream of retiring at f- uh 59, much less 40,
Five.
4 5 4
5.
45.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was clearly a choice that you guys made to like live pretty cheaply in this situation. But I'm wondering, like, could you go back to living in a house if you needed to at a certain point? In like, is that a part of your plan at all?
Um, if the house is not much bigger than the trailer, that's part of our plan. I mean, we're constantly looking at property and um we actually have like a house plan drawn that we
Cool.
could at some point implement. But it's like what is it, like 10 by 20? I think it's
Nice.
like small.
Yeah.
I personally never want to live in a normal size or what most people would consider normal size dwelling ever again. I don't want to be ruled by upkeep,
Mhm.
and we don't need the space. We need space to sleep, space to cook and eat, some form of a bathroom, and then somewhere we can do yoga. Those are
Yeah.
our basic life requirements.
Yeah. And it's interesting because most people in the world live in that amount of
Yeah,
space.
yeah, it's yeah, not
Yeah.
unheard of.
No, definitely not.
Um,
Americans are unheard of.
yeah, but I mean, we talk about all the time how we know so many people who are still working and complaining that they don't get to climb enough because they're still
Yeah.
working, and they have so much more than we've ever had. And we're just like, what are they doing with all that? Why do they, what are they expecting to happen? But you never know what can happen. So,
Yeah.
you plan for some contingencies, but at the same time, to live your whole life based on contingencies, that's to us, that's not much of a life.
Man, I love that so much. I yeah, I'm married to a person who is very concerned with contingencies, but both of us are very concerned with retiring early too. And so that's why talking to you guys is really inspirational, honestly, because, you know, yeah, what you just said basically sums it up.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at your desired lifestyle for sure. And there are a lot of people who aren't, they're just not cut out to give up a permanent home base and the, creature comforts, and that's fine. That's great. It's great to recognize that and know that. And that just all that does is, help you uh set up your parameters, so you know what your planning needs to be, what you need to set aside.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for talking a little bit about that. Okay, let's talk about climbing. So, where do you spend most of your time? Do you have sort of a circuit or do you kind of just go with the flow, go wherever?
Well, normally we'd have a circuit. I mean, we'd wanna go different places. every year or so. Um, the last couple years, we've been drawn back into camp posting here in Maple, so climbing here in Maple Canyon, Utah, mainly because of medical stuff we've had to take care of. I actually have a doctor in the valley now below in the town of Mount Pleasant, a regular physician, which I haven't had for a while. And because of my insurance, I'm on Medicare. That requires me to see my physician before I can have anything major done, see a specialist. And a year ago, I had to have my shoulder replaced. So dealing with that, um, and then having that actually done, the surgery was performed at University of Utah in Salt Lake, which is only an hour and a half away. And then same thing with now I have a hip that's in need of replacement. Um, so seeing doctors and having that ability to see a specialist and have these things done has required us to be in the Maple Canyon area over the summer months, spring, fall, summer. In the winter, we go. The last year, we had to go to St. George because we have friends that own a climbing gym there and a full workout facility. And that gave us the ability to rehab and strength train and rebuild from our various surgeries. Maggie, too, had to have a shoulder surgery. So she was rehabbing about the same timeline as I was. So lately we've been just kind of stuck in Utah. I think we would like to travel a lot more and go to a lot more unique places if we weren't dealing with these medical issues right now. So, but it's nice to have the ability to be able to be here and close to our doctors and good hospitals and so on.
Right. So do you see yourself staying in Utah for a while then because you have to have your hip replacement
Yeah,
soonish?
probably
Or?
another year. I think another year.
Through next summer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it should open us up to be able to travel and hopefully be able to go back east and climb some of those places again.
Mm-hmm. And so where are the kinds of places where you would spend a lot of time before?
You want to take it?
Well, Maple. We generally seek out steeper stuff. So that does kind of narrow our desired locations down, our destinations. So we spent a lot of time here over the years, climbing primarily in the pipe dream. And then we have climbed, let's see, our first year on the road and 2 summers we've spent intensely, but climbing at the Octagon, more than in the canyon proper. Just again, seeking out the steeper options. And then we've spent some time at the Hurricane in southern Utah. And we did go to Kalymnos, so that was super fun. We would love to go back there or check out Leonidio. Where else have we spent time?
A lot of time in New Mexico.
Yeah, a lot of time in New Mexico.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's a few crags there that we really like.
And then out east, you mentioned, do you ever go to the Red?
The Red, yeah, the Red is where I climbed for the first 10 years of my climbing because I lived in the Detroit, Michigan area. So, yeah, climbed in the Red quite a bit. We had property there for a while, but we found out we weren't staying, when we'd go, we weren't really staying long enough to warrant that. And it was such a maintenance nightmare. It's like a jungle and the grass is taller than me within like 3 months. And and so we'd get there and we'd have to go camp so that we could like cut down our lot so we could get onto it to camp there.
That's funny.
And it was Yeah, it was always an adventure. So now we figure if we go, we're just going to stay at some established campground.
Yeah, way easier than home ownership.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
also learned that lesson the hard
yeah.
way.
I've also climbed a little bit in the Odette and Little River Canyon in Alabama. It's Alabama,
Okay,
right? Yeah.
so mostly sport climbing, it sounds like.
Oh, all sport climbing. We have done spent a few winters in Waco bouldering, and then
Hmm.
some bouldering in southern Utah and in Priestra,
Okay.
Arizona.
Okay, so one thing when I was climbing outside a lot or traveling a lot or being in the van or whatever, it felt a little bit hard for me to keep up strength because I would get like a little bit exhausted from being outside all the time and doing the whole grind. And B, I couldn't really train how I normally would in the gym. So I'm curious how you both have managed that throughout these many years. I guess 11 years.
We do have a lot of training tools that we travel with. For instance, we have a tripod set up with a pull-up bar and gymnastic rings um, that we can carry in our van and then quickly erect in a campsite. And we also have a weight bench and some dumbbells that we
Whoa.
carry. Um, and then we occasionally, I think it's important that, or it was important that we set aside winters for more training specific, um, you know, bouldering particularly, to build the power base that we'll need for doing routes for 7, 8 months, 9 months, depending.
Yeah.
Um, However, unfortunately, this past year, uh, I've decided that bouldering is probably off the table for me.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to have to use supplemental training to build power, or just
Is that because of your hip or
hip and body in general.
His entire being.
Yeah,
tell me about that? Tell me about that.
it's been getting harder and harder to boulder. Part of the problem is if you really want to build a power base, you have to try hard all the time,
Hmm.
and there are you're inevitably going to have some bad falls. That's just part of bouldering. I mean, you're going to fall a lot, and my body just doesn't handle that as well. It handles the movement really well, but the falling is really damaging
Yeah.
to me.
To what? Like what hurts?
To lower back, hips, knees, um, psyche. It's just
Yeah,
it's just
there you go.
gotten, and I've had a couple of unexpected falls that have really hurt me
And scares me.
physically. Yeah, like a broken hold in Waco that um, caused me to land in the middle of my back on a sharp rock.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
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 I thought I was done, and
Yeah. Yeah. So it's sort of a combo of your body and time and experiences happening where you're like, this is maybe not worth it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So we do kind of, we've alternated the bouldering seasons in the past with like targeting maybe more shorter bouldery crags that are a little bit more anti-style in the winters. And that's probably what we'll focus on moving forward.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And Maggie, how about you with bouldering over the years? Like, how's your body holding up through all of this?
Surprisingly well. I feel like I've actually become a little more resilient. Like a lot of things on me that used to hurt don't hurt as much anymore in general.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Um, I mean, shameless plug, but I feel like the collagen, like we're Physivantage Masters athletes, and I honestly feel like the collagen has helped me a ton.
Nice.
Like my knees used to I used to cry sometimes, usually on the way down from a crag.
Oh,
And now like my knees are 100% fine and I didn't do anything else special. So,
wow.
um, yeah,
How much of that stuff are you taking every
I
day?
just do a scoop a day in my coffee.
Yeah, plug for
Yeah,
Physivantage.
when
Nice.
we had our shoulder surgeries immediately following that, we both doubled up on our intake,
Hmm.
but then back to normal. And
Yeah. Just as an aside, when I had my second shoulder surgery, it was like 7 months out and I was still in so much pain.
oh,
And I started taking collagen and it immediately shifted things for
yeah,
me.
Oh,
it's
wow.
crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, it
Science.
is crazy.
Um, yeah, but for me, yeah, I just get really scared bouldering. Really
Yeah.
scared. I have to be super, super motivated to top out if something is like even moderately tall. I have to really want to do the problem. And if the hard moves are up higher, I need like the entire gym floor padding set up with like 15 spotters that I know all of them and I'm super confident in them. um
Yeah.
cuz yeah, it's scary. And
It
I
is
have fear of
scary.
sport climbing too though, and that's a lot of why I default to steep climbing. If
Oh,
I'll fall
interesting.
into
That's
the
why. I
air
was wondering.
any day, any time of the day, but you put me on vert or even like 10 to 15 degrees overhanging, I'll be freaked out until I take my first fall to like reassure myself that I'm okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Um, I mean, steep climbing, I feel like in ways is harder on your body,
Oh,
like your back, your shoulders, everything. Would you say that that has only gotten more resilient too over the years?
I would say for me, what's interesting is when we climb less steep things, I have more parts that hurt. I feel like I'm one of those people that my skeletal, musculoskeletal structure isn't meant for climbing a vert. My
Mhm.
elbows kill me.
Ah,
After like 2 weeks of climbing on vert, my elbows start to really, really bother me. And I don't have that on the steeps. And I feel like also my fingers aren't super strong. Um, Definitely a full body core centric climber.
nice.
So
Yeah.
and with doing yoga for so many years, I don't feel like it's hard on my back or my core. I
Great. So you both, it seems like, do yoga pretty regularly?
Right now he does it regularly. Ironically, I'm not doing it as much because I'm in school full time. And
Oh,
it's funny how that actually does take time. Um,
yeah.
so, so yeah, that's kind of priority for me right now. I'm hopefully will be done in December. I'm getting
Nice.
my bachelor's because I never did. So,
Oh, what are you getting your bachelor's in?
communication, public relations, and strategic communication.
And
So,
what do you hope to do with that?
um, probably nothing. Um,
Just like a life goal that you wanted
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do?
more of a life goal. Although I'm interning with the Global Climbing Initiative right now, and I'm hoping and thinking that I'll be able to stay on with them because I really believe in what they do, and I'm having a ton of fun with that.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So when I've taken a lot of time off from work or doing anything like school work, that kind of thing, and I'm just focusing on climbing, I tend to get kind of obsessive about it and it becomes my whole life's purpose and meaning, which can be like pretty stressful sometimes. And I'm curious if you encounter that and how you manage that if you do.
Right. I don't really encounter that. Um, I I think because I was just like a very mediocre climber for a really, really long time that I mean, I know I'm a climber, but that is definitely not like my primary identity.
Oh,
Um, Yeah, I think
What would you
that,
say is your primary identity?
I just a human being who does all different things. Like, when I wasn't in school, I knit a ton, I read a ton, I love to write. Um, like that's actually one of the most rewarding things with going back to school is like being able to write so much. I love it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I do love climbing and I love the movement, but it's actually not so different from the movement I got from doing yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I actually, I feel like it's such the red point process, which is really what we focus on, is such a universally applicable process. It doesn't feel particularly unique to climbing to me.
Wow.
Um,
This is refreshing. Uh-huh.
so I think if someone said, like, if someone asked me what I actually identify with the most, I would probably say, even though I'm not doing it as much right now, I would probably say the yoga and writing and making things.
Nice. Cool. And then you're climbing what, 3 days a week?
Hmm.
Okay, cool. And Chuck, what about you about the meaning and purpose in your life?
I learned a long time ago, is a training ethic and in a life ethic that you need to focus on the most important thing in your life or in your training, and make that priority one. So when I discovered climbing and started focusing on the goal of being a a climber, um, I put that in front of all else in
Mm,
my life. And everything else fell be, behind that. Fortunately, there's enough time in a day, and you can't climb every day and be strong and healthy and successful at climbing. And our 3 day a week schedule is basically um, gives me 4 days a week to do other things. So my priority being climbing, those 3 days are I try to make 100% climbing focus.
mhm,
And the other days, I have supplemental training that I do, um, including yoga, that are number one priorities for my rest days. But I have a lot of other hours in the day to do other things, and and which include, simple things like doing our chores for the Forest Service here in Maple is camp host, or
mhm,
socializing with other campers and friends. Um, to spending time with family when I can, when they're willing to come and visit, or vice versa. Um, and spending time with doctors and medical things
Mm.
and so on. Those are down the list of priorities for me.
mhm.
So again, it's training and climbing our number one priority, at least for a block of time on certain days. And if anything else gets in the way of that, there's going to be issues.
Yeah. We're very
It's
So,
different in this
yeah, it seems like
particular
yeah,
you're
respect.
what did
I
you
said
say, Maggie?
this is where we are very different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seems like it.
Yeah.
yeah. I won't be.
Okay, so it is your main meaning and purpose, and you're okay with that, and it doesn't stress you out too much?
No, in fact, that's where I get my enjoyment. I mean, that's to me, I enjoy that intensity and the results that it gives me, in regard to my climbing performance and my life happiness. I mean, I don't. I'm a Type A personality, and I can't change that.
Yeah.
It's just ingrained in me from a lifetime of living it. Um, and it honestly is what makes me happy. And um, I can't stress how important it is to seek your own happiness first, so that you can make other people happy as well. I think it's, I can't. if I'm not happy, then I'm going to have a hard time um, making other people happy. I'm just going to be a negative force for whoever comes near me if I'm not happy. So that's kind of my focus is to make myself happy so that I can, help other people to also achieve happiness.
What kinds of grades are you climbing and working on right now?
Well, having had virtually a year off from climbing, I've started kind of easing back in with some moderate 11s and 12s. And then I've done 4 13 minus routes this spring. And I'm currently working on a 13B that I've done before that I'm just trying to repeat. Um, it's not common for climbers over 70 to do 513.
Mhm.
So my goal is to try to push that to maybe the 513 plus level. Um, I feel like I'm kind of in a race now with the hip issues. It's limiting me quite a bit. I did get a cortisone shot a month ago, and that seems to be holding up pretty well so far, allowing me to climb pretty much 85% level. So
Nice.
I yeah.
And h how do those grades compare with, like, you at your peak, and when was that?
Well, even into my early 60s, mid 60s, I was able to do a couple 514s, um, including one that depends on what guidebook you look at and who you talk to or ask. They'll is rated 14B at age
Mhm.
64. Um,
Nice. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So I feel like I could still achieve that level if I was 100% healthy. But
Mhm.
obviously that's not going to happen. um,
Well,
you know,
it does seem like hip replacements are quite successful though,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm looking forward to that, but and I'm not too apprehensive about it. I mean, it's a little bit of a setback, but um, the bigger issues are other joints that are starting to also um, manifest osteoarthritis and
Mhm.
including, I've had the right shoulder replaced, and that's doing really well. But the left one is now showing symptoms that the right had a couple years ago. So,
Right. So then it's the problem of, like, get it fixed, recover, come back, and then get something else
Yeah.
fixed and recover and
yeah,
come back, and that
At
whole
yeah,
cycle is
exactly.
exhausting and it really sets you
at
back
70
sometimes.
plus.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot. So then, Chuck, what does that look like for you thinking about I don't I'm not trying to be like doomsday. It seems like you could have a lot of years left of climbing, but what would that look like for you if you weren't climbing very much or very hard anymore?
I've thought about that. I mean, I think I would still enjoy. I mean, I guess the, the nice thing about having left a lot of moderate routes undone, that I'll have that challenge of doing the more moderate routes at crags that I've never even considered, other than for warming up. So, and there's a lot of places with moderate routes, that could be kind of fun. Like for instance, Red River Gorge. I haven't done hardly any of the 511s in the red. I've done most of the 12s and many of the easier 13s. So pursuing all the 511s could be pretty challenging. Uh,
Yeah, definitely. So it's not like you imagine yourself just stopping. You would just challenge yourself with lower grades than you used to.
yeah, yeah, and unless it got so painful that it was not worth the effort. But I fortunately have a high pain tolerance as well.
obviously. I was looking at your Instagram before this and you were like, well, it's bone on bone in my hip or I think it was your
Yeah,
hip, right?
yeah.
Which sounds very
Yeah,
painful.
it's kind of amazing. I mean, the cortisone shot was amazing. I think, I've heard mixed reviews on cortisone injections. And it's not a cure, but a lot of people will get them and say they don't work or they wear off really quickly. Particularly as bad as my osteoarthritis is. But I think a lot of it is getting a really good orthopedic guy who gets the injection in the right place in the right amount, and I feel like I was really lucky with my injection. Um, the amazing thing is I can stand on my left leg and it snaps and pops and makes these crazy sounds. Like it literally feels like it might dislocate or break, but it
Oh my
yeah,
God.
but there's absolutely no pain associated with that, whereas prior to the injection, it was incredibly painful.
I keep thinking it's gonna pop off
Hmm.
like a Barbie leg.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh man, this is horrifying. It's really impressive that you're just pushing through it. I mean, I understand you don't have very much pain right now, but you did. And yeah, you must really, really enjoy it,
Well, I really enjoy it, and I also, I think about what the alternative is,
which
and the
is,
alternative is, no climbing at all, or accepting that you're in pain and not, just re just stop doing things. And I can see
yeah.
why people do give up. Um, I think most people do give up, and that's why we see so many of our aging citizens that go into rapid decline in their later years because they're no longer moving because it's painful.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I know. It's something that we don't really understand until we get to a certain age. And like, I'm personally there right now. I haven't climbed in 6 weeks because I just decided it was too painful. And looking back on it, I've tolerated pain for 28 years of climbing. And I had just finally got to a point where I was like, I'm not willing to tolerate this right now. But I totally agree with you. People would do that and then they just stop doing really anything.
yeah, yeah. And in a way, I feel kind of
Yeah.
lucky that my pain is manageable. And I haven't gotten to that point yet where it's been so bad that I give up. But
Yeah.
I do understand how it does happen and why people do give up.
Mhm.
Um, it's just I'm not there yet, and I feel really lucky that like this joint replacement worked out really well for me. The injection worked out really well for me. Um, and so far so good. I mean, I can keep
Yeah.
keep moving, rather than giving up at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. And Maggie, you are 56 and I can't tell you how many women email me or come up to me wherever I am and say like, please keep having women who are menopausal on your show because it's so helpful to A, not feel
Yeah.
alone, and to B, just like hear other people's
Yeah.
stories. And I'm wondering if, I mean, I'm assuming you're postmenopausal
Yes,
at
you
this
are
point.
assumed correctly.
Yeah. And so did perimenopause and that whole transition affect your climbing or your happiness or
Um,
anything?
it's funny as I don't think it really affected my climbing. I actually like some of my hardest routes to date I did in perimenopause. Um, but definitely my quality of life was definitely affected. I had crazy hot flashes. I had to like go outside in the middle of the night in the winter in like my underwear hot flashes. And
Wow,
like
okay.
the get angry hot flashes where other like
Yeah.
at one one point so a male friend we were talking to looked at me and he's like, I just saw that. I was like, oh, you know,
You're like,
they were really, really bad. And I was like, yeah. Um, and I tried like some herbal stuff that helped a little bit. And finally, actually, just last summer, postmenopausal by a couple of years or a few years, actually, I finally just started on estradiol patches. And
hmm
it has been a life-changing thing for me.
due to the lack of hot flashes, or
Yeah,
what
yeah,
else?
primarily that's like the biggest thing for me. That was the biggest thing I noticed. Um, that and a
Well,
little
that's
bit,
great.
I had a little bit of joint pain, but it was just kind of like slight achiness. It wasn't debilitating. Um,
hmm
and that definitely made a difference too. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. A lot of people say that. I just talked to another friend who's actually only 45, I think, and she just got on estrogen and she was like, it just felt like my whole body soaked it up and I no longer have back and nerve pain all over. So I think that's pretty common. That's what happened to me too. I felt like I was burning from the inside, just like in pain, like a fever all the time. And then the estrogen just
Uh-oh, you cut out.
made it a lot better. So it's pretty powerful stuff. But you didn't have like the sleep issues or anxiety or any of the other things that people have
Not
often.
anxiety. My sleep was mainly affected by the hot flashes, like with night sweats.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but not. I had noticeable symptoms, but not. You know, they were. I felt like I could manage them if I had to, because for a long time I was like, oh, I don't want to do anything. That's not. I think my body can handle it.
Yeah.
But now that I'm on the patch, I'm just like, "Oh, I should have done that years ago."
Right. Yeah. Hindsight. Yeah, I hear
Yeah.
you. And I saw a post of yours. It was during your rehab from your shoulder, which said like you had to make sure that you fueled properly during your recovery, but that also, I think you said it's not impossible to gain muscle in menopause or in I think you said in your 50s. Can you tell me about that? Like what happened to your body when you did that
Oh,
and how did you
yeah.
do it?
So muscle mass has been like with aging for both of us, that's been an issue. And, it's first it's a difference in muscle tone, which doesn't really matter because that's just purely aesthetic. But
Mhm.
but gaining and retaining muscle mass has been pretty hard. And what I found in recovery, since we were so focused on lifting, um, I just ate a ton. Like I didn't even pay that much attention to how much I ate. I just kept eating.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
the more food I ate, along with lifting things that were like pretty heavy for me, I definitely gained muscle mass, which hadn't happened in a while. Um, I like in the last several years, I've become like one of those skinnier old ladies, but with a big
Okay.
butt still. So,
Okay. Alright.
um, yeah, but over the
Nice.
winter, like for recovery, I just was like, you know what? My body needs all these nutrients to heal. Um, and I just decided I focused on getting the protein, but I didn't look at what my overall caloric intake was. Like I didn't like track my macros to keep up on it. Um, and I definitely I gained enough muscle mass that like people were saying things.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. And how much protein were you eating, out of curiosity?
I was eating over 100 grams a day for sure, which I try to do at least around 90 normally. But I
Uh-huh.
was doing definitely I was probably doing closer to like 105, 110 grams.
And did you feel like that it's hard to say because you were
Yeah.
recovering at that time, so you weren't, like, performance climbing, but do you feel like that has changed your climbing performance at all now?
Um, the the nutritional intake,
The muscle
the
mass,
muscle
the
mass.
muscle mass and the
Um,
protein, yeah.
so it's hard to say because what happened is I did all that and then we got here in Maple at the end of March. And when we got here, it was in the 70s and it was really nice. And then we had like a couple winter storms that uh, for me equated to forced rest days and belay only days. I cannot climb when it's cold. I just can't.
Hmm,
Um, So I kind of feel like I fell backwards a little bit and lost a lot of my winter training. Um, so now I'm not actually climbing on the project I intended to right now. I'm trying to like kind of retrain and gain some fitness and do some bouldery moves on something else. Um,
m'kay.
so yeah, that's really hard to answer.
Yeah, that's
In
okay.
the past, when I really focused on nutrition, I feel like it's definitely translated to performance. Um,
Yeah. And how far out are you from your surgery?
uh, my surgery was July 6th of last year, so a year.
Oh, wow,
Uh-huh.
just a year, yeah. And Chuck, how far out are you from your shoulder replacement?
My surgery was in May of last year. So,
A
Oh,
year
wow.
and
yeah, a year and
two.
a couple months now.
Uh-huh. And I'm assuming your recovery was faster than Maggie's because yours was a replacement, and Maggie, you did, like, your rotator cuff and a biceps tenodesis, right?
Yeah, I was primarily I mean, I only had the surgery because I tore my biceps tendon, the proximal long head.
Oh,
And then when they were in there, they did a supraspinatus repair and shaved off, typical shaved off a bone spur. I also had a bone cyst that they drilled into through to the marrow to express marrow into it to heal it.
whoa.
Kind of cool.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, our recovery times are pretty similar.
Yeah,
Um,
he was just
Oh,
a little ahead of me
yeah.
time wise.
and did you ever have any surgeries before in your lives?
I have.
What did you have?
I had knee surgery, like arthroscopy on both of my knees years ago, and that's it.
Do you feel like this surgery was any hard like, they always say it's harder for especially older women to recover from surgeries. Do you feel like it was any harder this time?
No. But I think the big reason for that is that it was caused by a traumatic incident. So I actually, when that injury happened, I was the strongest I've been in a few years. So I think I
Uh-huh.
was like set up really well going into it.
That makes sense. Yeah, as opposed to sort of withering
Yeah, it wasn't a
away for a
yeah, it wasn't a
while. Yeah.
chronic injury that had been impeding my climbing before it. I was climbing on like the hardest route of my life when it happened. So,
Which was
it's
what?
a route here in the pipe dream called Divine Fury. It's a 14B that is still it's what I'm supposed to be climbing on right now, but I just don't quite feel like I'm there.
Wow. How hard of grades did you climb ever,
The hardest route
and
I
when?
ever did was the one that Chuck did when he was 64, called T-Rex that now it kind of gets the slash grade 14AB. But
Uh-huh.
I've done I don't know, like 6 or 7 514s. Oh,
Nice.
those are my hardest.
And so your hope is to get back to
Yeah.
that
Yeah, and I
at
think I
least?
can. Yeah.
Yeah. What are your goals long term?
That route. That route's probably my long-term goal. Um, yeah, right now I'm like climbing on a shorter bouldery 13 minus to try to get some power back and doing some supplemental power training at camp. And then I'm working on another link up that goes into the same finish as my long-term project. So I can hopefully have that just like redialed. It's a finish I've done before on other routes. Everything here is link ups. So it's a finish I've done on other routes. So I know the beta, but it's just like that having it in your body and having the confidence to do it after doing other really, really hard moves is like kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another question I have for you both. So, Chuck, I'll ask you first. I know that it can be like I've done entire podcast episodes, particularly with like Mursky and Danny from Rifle. Anyway, talking about how you can train outdoors, like endurance and power. And I'm curious how you've approached that while being outside all of the time or most of the time.
Um, I think it's critical to take uh, periods of time, like blocks of time that are, you know, especially at my age, 3 months to 5 months. That if you're going to climb outdoors, do really powerful routes and uh, and and lift, try to lift weights and do exercises in opposition to climbing that promote power and muscle growth or muscle maintenance at the very least, and then to, transition into route climbing for another, for the rest of the year, with the idea that that power will help you do harder movement in a power endurance situation or an endurance situation. I mean, to me, my philosophy of power is that you have better endurance if you have higher power ratio. So
Mhm.
if you don't have to hang on quite as hard, if you only need 30% of your power to do a certain move, that as opposed to having great endurance but you have to hang on with 80% of your power potential doing the same move, then you're going to you're not going to progress very well or very much.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
That's
my
smart.
philosophy. If you're going to train outdoors, either boulder or do power routes, and then add in training, supplemental training too. Taper off of that when you start doing actual projecting or more endurance related routes.
And then I think I saw a post from Maggie saying that she was doing this basically a circuit that you had created to get her endurance back up. Is that something that you do outside too?
Um, Outside, so usually when we do our power stuff, when we're ready to move, when we move somewhere, it's usually a bit place related, like here that we're going to be projecting something. We don't technically, I don't know if that was my post that you saw. We don't technically train endurance. We kind of like endurance for us is the easy part. And power is so
Oh,
much harder. So we kind of let the endurance come just through climbing. Um,
okay.
yeah, where we're just, you get on, you do your, maybe it was like the warm up circuit or something to get the fitness that,
Yeah, it was the one where it said only about 65 more feet to go after the
oh,
first
yeah, no,
45.
that's the link up that I'm working on.
Oh, that's your
Yeah,
project. Okay, got it.
it's like, it is kind of a fitness project though. But yeah,
Mhm.
that was the beginning, the first crux of the link up that I'm working on. Um, so yeah, climbing on that, I'm just like pushing, keep trying to push the high point and, you just climb until you fall. And that's the endurance training basically.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good
I
to
mean,
know. And then
endurance comes with doing for us, but power doesn't work that way.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be more
Yeah.
intentional. And like, how many routes are you guys doing a day?
We do about 3 or 4 warm-ups, and then, usually a couple hard burns on whatever project, and, yeah.
Okay. Is that different than what you used to do, or has that kinda always been your thing?
It's radically different. I mean, it used to
Oh, how so?
I used to do probably anywhere from, I still only maybe 3 or 4 warm-ups, but much harder. Um,
Yeah.
Harder warm-ups, like, if I'm attempting something 13 plus 14 minus, I start out on an 11, couple laps on 11, then a 12, the harder 12, maybe an easy 13. Usually routes that I have dialed for that, makes them warm up. And
Mhm.
then I would give my project, anywhere from 3 burns. Yeah, 3 solid burns,
Yeah.
in a day. I can't if I tried that now, it would kill me. Uh, yeah,
It
so
would
I
kill me.
Yeah.
so if I try to do more than what I'm doing right now, even adding an extra warm up or an extra training or fitness burn on something, I'm usually not good for the rest of the week. My so our 3-day schedule is, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If I try too hard on Monday, I'm gonna really suck on Wednesday and Friday. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the
Try too hard, meaning
if too much,
what?
if I try too many
Yeah.
too much volume,
Okay.
That, like, one last burn on the proj kinda thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if I quit
Oh.
early, I feel better the next climbing day, typically.
Well, and yeah, that's something that I would ask both of you is if you could talk to your younger self and give your younger self advice, would there be anything that you would do differently?
Well, and this is really important. I feel like I did the right thing as my younger self, in regard to my training ethic and the concept of building muscle mass. Even during that old school era when many of my partners and friends were starving themselves to death to do the one project a year that they were doing, um, a lot of them are no longer climbing because they're constantly injury ridden, and because their performance um, is basically they're not performing because they starved themselves and had multiple issues as a result of doing that. Whereas I always approach climbing as anaerobic activity that required muscle mass, and I would do training to build muscle mass, and my again old school climbers would look at me and laugh and say, "What are you going to do with all those muscles? They just get in the way." And the thing that I'm very happy about is now at age 70, I still have some of that muscle.
You definitely
Yeah,
do, yeah.
so I mean, I'm quite a bit lighter than I used to be
Yeah.
just from sarcopenia, but
Yeah. Okay.
sarcopenia. Um, so natural loss of muscle mass. I mean, I used to weigh 155, 160, and in fact, friends would call when I show up at the crag, they call me the linebacker.
He couldn't do cross through moves because of his chest.
So,
Wow, okay.
so and so anyway, I think the lesson is, build, don't starve yourself, or don't look at climbing as as this old school view of starving yourself to be able to pull specific moves on tiny holds or whatever. Instead, build the strength to be able to do those same moves. Uh,
Yeah, and Do you feel like you also paid a lot of attention to what you were eating then to fuel all of that?
Yeah, and it's pretty similar to what Maggie just was saying about the, protein intake. I always, I eat a gram of protein a day, or a gram of protein per
I
pound
get
of
you.
weight, not just skeletal weight,
Nice.
but weight. So if I weighed 155 pounds, I ate 155 grams of protein in a day. And that was every day,
Mhm.
even on my rest days, because I'm recovering on my rest days and need that
Yes,
protein.
preach.
And that's in fact when it's most important. Um, and avoid a lot of carbohydrates. I don't eat very much sugar at all. Avoid, I do eat a lot of um, good fats. In fact, I feel like I fuel really well on fat as opposed to carbohydrate, just
Mhm.
because that's what my body's adapted to.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm. And do you feel like, just like with Maggie with menopause, did you have any testosterone dips that you know of? Have you ever dabbled with testosterone
no,
replacement
no, but
therapy?
I do think um, I hit a pretty significant performance decline at age 65. And it was so, it was so funny because, like, not really funny, I guess. It was so interesting to me because up to that point, I felt like age wasn't affecting me
Yeah.
hardly at all. I mean,
Mm.
I was slowing down a little bit, but I was still able to perform pretty well. And I knew that things took a little longer, but I was retired, so I had extra time. I could rest, I could, train, blah blah blah. And then at 65, I had my first significant injury and that required surgery, which was an umbilical hernia. And the
Oh,
first
okay.
surgery in my life, and it was in 10 sleep that it happened. After a weird fall, I literally popped an umbilical hernia, and I
Hmm.
could push it back in, but it'd come right back out every time I'd exert.
Ugh.
So so I had surgery done in Moreland at a tiny little hospital in Moreland, Wyoming, and very successful surgery. Things went really well, but it kinda shut me down for the rest of the season. Um, and then I could climb the technical vertical stuff pretty well, but anything that required me to engage core, I had issues with for the rest of the year. And then the next year I tried to come back and started pushing a little too much because I hadn't figured out that I was 66 at the time and that overdoing was no longer a good option for me. So I'd say it was more, I recognized a physical decline, not so much, I don't think testosterone related, other than I'm
Well,
sure, I'm sure that's a
connected
factor.
connection. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Is
more was
that
arthritis started affecting me more, particularly, I mean, I've had rheumatoid arthritis diagnosed at early 50s.
oh,
So I've been dealing with that. Uh, Luckily, I also started yoga about that time, which worked really well to alleviate rheumatoid arthritis discomfort,
well,
and kind of stave that off. But the osteoarthritis just kind of crept up and started hitting me all at once after again age 65. I started feeling the joints were a little more painful and a little harder to work with. Um,
yeah. You said in one of your posts, some days I feel 90, some days I feel like a spring chicken or something along those lines.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that kind of how it
yeah.
is?
It's fewer days as the spring chicken and more
Yeah.
days as the 90. But there's still those random good days that are worth waiting out and looking forward to.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Couple of last questions. I know that you said in the beginning that you both are really good about being independent, taking your space mentally and physically. Um, but is it ever hard being in such close quarters together? This is just obviously a fascinating thing for me because I need doors wherever I
We have
am.
a door.
I have to have an option to have a
We actually
door,
have two doors because we have a door to
Um,
the bathroom too. We have 2 rooms. Uh,
oh, you have a
yeah.
bathroom door and then the main
Yes.
door. Okay.
We have doors.
So is it
Um,
ever an issue with you guys, or do you just get along so super well and gel together so well?
uh, I don't know. What do you think? I mean,
I think at this point in our lives,
I'm just so used to it.
yeah, and we've had enough relationships that we've learned from that it's pretty easy to resolve conflicts, and it's important that we
Yeah.
resolve conflicts on the spot, literally.
Mhm.
So we don't, if we have issues about anything or discrepancies, we generally talk them out pretty quickly.
Yeah. The space is too small to hold much tension. I will say that.
Yeah.
um, yeah.
And Maggie, I asked Chuck this, or Chuck answered this, but would you have any advice to your younger self?
Um, yeah, yeah, I think, I mean, trying to think of how to phrase it or to so with some sort of articulation. I didn't start climbing till I was 28. And for that first 10 years in the red, I kind of like went with the whole Red River Gorge thing. Like you drink all night, sleep in, go climb hungover, and then you go back to Miguel's and you drink all night. And that probably wasn't the best program to be on. I didn't climb my first 12A until I was 37. And
Oh, wow. Almost 10
yeah, I
years. Uh-huh.
probably could have done that a little sooner had I been a little bit more serious about it. Um, or just healthier about it. Unlike Chuck, like I wasn't like I ate crap. I just ate whatever I wanted to for the longest time. When he and I met, I weighed 98 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And I'm 5'2", and I was literally a stick figure. Um,
Mhm.
and I think had I which is ironic because actually in my earlier like in my when I was 19 and 20, I was a bodybuilding. But when I stopped doing that, I just stopped paying any attention to nutrition whatsoever. Um, and then it kind of fell into this whole with the yoga. I fell into the whole like vegan, like I'm not hungry because I did yoga thing, and just it wasn't very healthy for me personally. So I think paying more attention to nutrition and fueling earlier on in my career, or my climbing career. And then also just like maybe a little bit more moderation with the partying would have been a good idea. Um,
Yeah, so taking your health a little bit more
yeah, because
seriously.
I feel like since I started doing all that and just focusing more on being consistent with climbing, I've learned so much. I just think, if I had started learning earlier, where would I be now? But you never know. It is what it is at this point. Mhm.
Sorry, I lost you there, but now
Oh,
I can hear
okay.
you.
Yeah. Also resting, like not climbing 4 days on would
Yeah, uh-huh.
probably be good advice to give someone, but people don't always listen to
And
advice.
yeah, for sure. And then last question for both of you is, we'll start with Chuck. Was there a turning point in your climbing where you were like, "Oh, I have really gotten a lot better"? And so maybe answer that question first, or was it just sort of a gradual
It
incline?
was, I think when I was in my late 30s, maybe even early 40s, that I discovered balanced macronutrient diet. And it was introduced to me by Merrill Bitter, my friend Merrill, who um, basically, who is very quiet, very um, stoic kind of guy. And when I brought up some supplement, I think it was creatine actually, to him about, and we climbed together on and off in various places, and I brought up the idea of creatine as this new supplement that people were experimenting with. He just for like a solid hour talked my ear off about this balanced macronutrient diet and the importance of it and how it's helped him. And I right away started doing a balanced macronutrient diet, bought the Enter the Zone book by Barry Sears and practiced the diet and got almost immediate results. I mean, within like 6 months, I went from a 513 minus climber to a 513 plus climber. Yeah,
Wow, that's
it was that
incredible.
notable. So, and I think it was the year, yeah, it was like maybe 41, 42. And then by 43, I did my first 514.
Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. People are going to love to hear this. I talk to so many people in their 30s and they're like, "My time is running out." And I'm like, "No, it's not."
No, and my claim to fame was I did 14A at 43, and I just become a grandfather. So,
Wow.
so,
Wow, you're a very young
You're
grandfather.
so
top style.
I don't know how true it is, but I was the possibly the first grandfather to do 514.
I don't doubt that. Yeah, that's amazing. Cool, good for you. Yeah, so diet was a turning
Yeah,
point for
yeah,
you
I think that
and
was a big one, and I noticed a quick progression and then a steady progression on in through my 50s,
Yeah.
even. Possibly the
nice.
most powerful
Ye
route I did was age 57.
Wow.
It was rated 14B. It got downgraded to 14A because it got the slash grade. It only had 2 ascents, and I did the third, and it supposedly had a V10 start. Um, so a short,
Wow.
powerful problem at age 57 with I think I dumbed the start down to maybe V8 because I don't think I can do V10, at least not then. So
Uh, Chuck, how tall are
I'm
you?
5'10".
Okay. Um, yeah, I was just wondering because I was looking at your weight and I'm wondering about like your wingspan and all of that. But yeah, that's interesting. And then Maggie, was there a turning point for you
um,
besides this? Because you went from like 512A after 10 years and then went into 514AB. And so yeah, tell me about that.
yeah. Yeah, so I did my first 12 at 37, my first 13 at 39, and my first 14 at 44. Um,
Nice.
and most of that was like thanks to my coach Charlie here. That's when we basically started climbing together consistently and my performance shot up. I literally at one point I improved a letter grade a year for like 6 years. Um
Wow.
the I had a couple big major shifts. One was the nutritional shift. Um but the other one that I think, just to have a different topic here, the other one was like that magical like unlocking of the try hard.
How did you do
Yeah, and
that?
that happened for me on a route in Logan Canyon, at China Cave. There's a 13C there that's pretty powerful. It's called the Big Brawl. Um, and yeah, just that moment when you realize that you think you're trying hard, you think you've been trying hard all these years before, and then you do something that is beyond what you thought you could do in terms of effort output. Um, and it's just a different feeling. It's like tapping into that like animal power part of the
Yeah.
the body and brain, and like where your lizard brain actually communicates with your body in a way that you are able to access power that you have had no idea that you possessed.
That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, my husband, when he knows he needs to try hard, no matter what the weather, he has to take his shirt off. It's
Oh,
like his cue or
yeah.
something. Do you have a cue for
Yeah.
yourself?
For me, a lot of times it's like even if it's really hot, I have to actually let my hair down.
That's amazing. You have curly hair, so it's like curl
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
It's pretty funny.
Well, that is fascinating. I know that people are going to be really, I don't know, inspired by this. And I just found all of this to be really inspirational myself. So
Huh.
I think I've taken enough of your time today, but I
Okay.
really, really appreciate you spending the
Oh
time with
no,
me.
thanks
Yeah,
for
it's
Thank you.
having us. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
enjoy doing it. I mean, it's how we learn from what other mentors and successful people have done. When they share their experiences, that's how we learn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, everyone appreciates it. I hope that you both have smooth recoveries. If you do get that hip replacement, Chuck, and to you, Maggie, that you get that route that you're working on. And yeah, thank you
Thank
again.
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
success to you, Neely.
Yeah.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Chuck and Maggie Odette, and I really appreciated them coming on the show. And if you want to learn more about them, they have a website at gravitychronicles.com, which follows their journey on the road. And you can also just Google Odette climbing, and they have been on so many podcasts and they've been written up in a lot of different blogs and publications. And there are lots of videos about them too. So I really loved talking with them. It kind of made me tempted to just sell everything and go live somewhere cheaply and just climb. So we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you posted on that. But if you need any help with your climbing or training, Training Beta has so many resources for you. If you go to trainingbeta.com, you'll find hundreds of blog posts, hundreds of other podcast episodes, as well as online training programs that are self-paced and coaching with our coaches, Matt Pincus and Alex Steiger. You can do that from anywhere in the world. And then I also do mindset coaching for climbers and nutrition coaching for climbers. So we kind of have you covered on a lot of different bases over here. And you can find, again, everything at trainingbeta.com. So thank you so much for listening all the way to the end. I really appreciate your support. And if you wouldn't mind giving me a review on wherever you get your podcasts, especially if it's positive, that will really help spread the word on this information for other climbers. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.